We are now in the time period known as Siyar HaOmer, and the truth is that the mitzvah from a Torah perspective really deals with accounting and anticipation as we get from Pesach to Shavuot, and really it should be a time of great joy as we silently go from the time when we became a nation to the Chag that talks about our purpose and our mission as that same nation as Am Yisrael. However, for many years, and for many of us, the association with this time period is not the joyous one, but rather the time of mourning, the sense of Avelut that we engage in. And there are different minhagim. As you can see, I'm keeping the second minhag. I have shaved. Many individuals are keeping the first minhag. There are many other variations as well, and people express their sense of mourning. Why are we expressing mourning? Because I just noted, it really should be a time of joy and time of great anticipation. The classic explanation given is that the disciples of Rabbi Akiva passed away during this time period, 12,000 pairs of students, and they passed away. Shlonagu Kavod Zevazeh, they didn't treat each other with the proper respect, and as a result, we engage in this period of mourning. For intellectual honesty, I do have to note that it's not just to meet Rabbi Akiva. Many of the later commentaries make the observation that it also was the many calamities that befell the Jewish people throughout this time period, particularly the Crusades that happened during Iyar and Sivan, and which is why many people from the German Jewish community are insistent on keeping the second minhag, because that's when they had these atrocities happen to them. And in truth, in light of that point, my whole question today may not really start. But if you take the classical approach, that the reason we're in mourning is because of the death of Rabbi Akiva's Talmidim, I would like to pose the following question. It's true that it's a tragic event, but our history is replete, unfortunately, with many great tragedies. This is not the only time Am Yisrael lost individuals. There's a list of pogroms and massacres that dominate our history. And yet, the response is not 33 days of mourning. What was it about Rabbi Akiva's disciples passing that warranted this strong and perhaps, dare I say, extreme response? And again, having just noted, perhaps it really deals with other atrocities as well, may mitigate some of the question. But traditionally, the explanation given is it deals with the death of Rabbi Akiva's students, and that has always puzzled me. And I'd like to suggest the following explanation. In another line, Chazal tell us, our sages describe, that any generation does not merit seeing the rebuilding of the Beit HaMikdash during their lifetime. It's as if they destroyed it. And you can ask the obvious question, we didn't destroy the Beit HaMikdash. What does that mean? But the answer is that our task is to repair the very faults that led to the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash. And if we haven't repaired those problems, if we haven't fixed those sins, then we're guilty as if we actually destroyed it in our lifetime. Think about that for a moment. The second Beit HaMikdash, in contrast to the first, which was destroyed because of terrible crimes that we did against the Kadosh Baruch Hu, the second Beit HaMikdash was destroyed because of sinas chinam, because of baseless hatred, because of hatred that existed between members of Am Yisrael. The disciples of Rabbi Akiva were the pillars of what Torah society should be. If anyone should have been correcting that sin, particularly during the time as we anticipate the Chag of Shavuot, a time where we get together as one nation to receive the Torah, they should have been the examples, the role models for fixing this mistake of sinat chinam. And sadly and tragically, they did the opposite. Lo nagu kavod zeh b'zeh. They didn't treat each other with the proper respect. So I think perhaps the reason we mourn for the students of Rabbi Akiva's passing is not just the loss of life, but more profoundly, more deeply, it reminds us that we don't have the Beit HaMikdash. We haven't yet repaired that which needs to be repaired. And I think in that light, as we go through this time period, as we anticipate the coming of Shavuot, of Matan Torah, with great joy, we deal it with a slightly somber note, as we recognize the need to still repair that mistake, still repair that attitude. We learn from the death of Rabbi Akiva's disciples that we have more work to do. But I'm optimistic that we can. We can band together. We can treat each other better. We can have derech eretz that takes precedence. Derech eretz kadmu l'Torah, that's really not precedence is the right word, but is the foundation upon which the Torah is built. If we view the Siyar HaOmer, even the Avelut of Siyar HaOmer in this fashion, then we can transform it into what it's supposed to be, a time of great anticipation, a time of great joy. May we be successful. Shabbat Shalom.